Hey everybody, welcome back for another deep dive. We love digging into stuff that can really make a difference, and today we're focusing on something pretty huge, transitioning from military service right here in Washington State.
Yeah, it's a big one, and we're zeroing in on how to build that civilian career after leaving bases like JBLM Naval Station Everett, or really any base in WA.
Exactly. And to guide us, we've got some interesting sources, a blog post that really gets into the whole goal-setting thing.
And we've also got some FAQs about this program called DYPSI. Seems like it's built specifically for this kind of transition.
Okay, so right off the bat, both of these sources, they kind of hit on this mental shift that a lot of veterans go through, right?
Yeah, you're coming from the super structured military world, clear missions goals, that kind of thing. Leaving that behind, it can feel like you've lost your sense of direction.
You're losing that external structure.
Exactly, and that's why goal setting becomes super important, according to the blog post anyway.
Okay, so goal setting. It sounds great in theory, but how does it actually work?
Yeah.
Practically speaking.
Think of it like this. Goals, they give you that sense of purpose and direction, which can be crucial when you're dealing with the uncertainty of civilian life. The blog post makes a big deal about having both short-term and long-term goals. They call them micro goals and macro goals.
Micro and macro goals. I've heard those terms before. But what do they actually look like for someone transitioning from, say, JBLM or Everett?
Sure. So micro goals. Think of them as those smaller steps you take every day. Things that move you towards your bigger goals.
Okay, like bite-sized pieces.
Exactly. So it could be like updating your resume, researching career paths, or even just reaching out to someone in your field for an informational interview.
Okay, so instead of one massive, overwhelming goal, you're breaking it down into smaller, more manageable chunks.
Exactly. And as you achieve those smaller goals, those micro goals, you build momentum and confidence.
I see. So you get those small wins to keep you going.
Yeah.
Now, what about those macro goals, the bigger picture stuff?
Right. So macro goals, those are your big aspirations. Could be landing a specific job in tech, starting a business, maybe even going back to school for a new degree.
So the micro goals are like stepping stones leading up to those big macro goals.
Yeah, you got to have a clear vision of where you want to go and then a plan to get there. And that's where DYPSI comes in.
Hold on. Tell me more about this DYPSI program. What is it exactly?
Well, DYPSI stands for Discover Your Post-Service Identity, which I think sums it up pretty well. The FAQs we have, they highlight how DYPSI is all about helping you figure out who you are outside of your military identity.
So after years of defining yourself by your service, this helps you figure out where you fit in the civilian world.
Precisely. And here's the best part. DYPSI is totally free for eligible participants. They have sponsors who help cover the costs.
Wow, that's fantastic. It removes a barrier for veterans who might be struggling financially during their transition. So how does DYPSI actually help veterans set and achieve those goals?
They break it down into 4 main pillars. First is rediscovering your identity beyond the uniform. It's not about erasing your military experience, but about understanding how the skills and values you developed can apply to your civilian life.
So taking those strengths and applying them to a new setting.
Exactly. They use different exercises and resources like personality assessments, skills inventories, even journaling to help you figure out what you're passionate about.
Okay, so it's about finding a path that truly aligns with who you are, not just any old job.
Right. Then the second pillar is all about identifying potential career paths. They work with you to assess your skills, interests, and the job market to find careers that would be a good fit.
So it's like having a personalized career counselor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then the third pillar is about teaching you how to quickly assess job opportunities. The job search can be overwhelming, so they give you the tools to evaluate job descriptions, company cultures, salaries, so you can make smart decisions.
That's so important because I can imagine feeling pressured to take the first offer that comes along, even if it's not the best fit.
And finally, the fourth pillar focuses on negotiation techniques. Once you've found those great opportunities, you need to know how to advocate for yourself to get the best salary benefits, the whole package.
So they help you set yourself up for success in your new civilian career. They really seem to cover it all.
They do. And you know what always helps me connect with these programs?
What's that?
Real-life success stories. The blog post mentioned a veteran from Naval Base Kitsap who used DYPSI and successfully transitioned into the tech industry.
Right. That makes it feel so much more tangible and achievable. Like this isn't just some abstract concept. It actually works.
Exactly. And speaking of achieving goals, there's this intriguing thing in the DYPSI description called the Rule of 5.
Oh, yeah, that caught my eye, too. But they didn't give us much detail, did they?
Nope. It's like they're leaving us in suspense.
Definitely curious to learn more about that.
Me too. It definitely piqued my interest. Maybe it's some secret formula for success they reveal in the program.
Okay, listeners, we've got a little mystery to solve. But before we get too caught up in that, let's go back to what really stood out to me about DYPSI. They don't just leave you high and dry after the training.
What do you mean?
They actually help you connect with people in your field of interest. That's a pretty amazing level of support.
It is. They know that networking is key for career success. They go the extra mile to help veterans thrive in their civilian lives.
So we've established goal setting is super important for a smooth transition. And DYPSI sounds like a fantastic resource, especially if you're leaving a base here in Washington.
Absolutely. It gives you that structure and guidance to navigate what can be a pretty overwhelming process, and it empowers you to build a fulfilling and purposeful civilian life. And, it's not a coincidence that DYPSI is specifically focused on veterans transitioning from Washington state bases.
That's true. Why do you think that localized focus is so important?
Well, Washington has a huge military presence. Think about JBLM, Naval Station, Everett, all those bases. When so many service members are leaving from the same area, the need for targeted support just becomes even more crucial.
It's like building a community around that transition. So if you're listening right now and you're stationed at JBLM or Everett, or getting ready to leave one of those bases, what would you say is the most important takeaway from all of this?
I'd say remember this. Your military service has given you incredible skills and experiences. Don't underestimate their value in the civilian world.
Right.
And just as important, don't underestimate the power of setting clear goals, that sense of purpose and direction. It's what will help you navigate the unknowns and build a fulfilling life after service.
It's almost like reframing the transition as a new mission, a new objective to conquer.
Exactly. And remember, those goals can be big or small. Maybe your macro goal is to become a leader in sustainable energy, while your micro goal for today is just researching online courses in that field. DYPSI can help bridge that gap.
So let's say I'm a veteran getting ready to leave JBLM in a few months. What's my first step if I want to check out DYPSI and see if it's right for me?
Both the blog post and those FAQs they mentioned, Operation Military Family, that's the organization behind DYPSI. Their website is a good place to start.
Oh, right. The blog post had a link to their registration page.
Yep. Just go to operationmilitaryfamily.com. You can find more information about DYPSI, read what other veterans are saying, and even sign up if it feels like a good fit.
We'll make sure to include that link in the show notes. Okay, so before we wrap things up, any more thoughts on the Rule of Five? It's been bugging me this whole time.
Well, since neither of our sources went into much detail, I think we'll have to leave that as a bit of a cliffhanger for now. Maybe it's something they reveal during the DYPSI program itself.
You're probably right. Maybe it's their secret weapon, the key to unlocking some hidden potential.
It definitely adds to the mystery.
It does. Now, before we let you go, I want to turn things around for a second, put the spotlight on you, the listener.
Oh.
Let's do a little thought experiment. Here's the question. If you had to pick one tiny micro goal for this week, to something small, and then one massive, ambitious macro goal for, let's say, 2025, what would they be?
Wow. That's a really powerful question. It really gets you thinking about how all this applies to your own life.
Right. It's taking everything we've talked about and turning it into action.
Yeah.
And, even if you're not leaving the military this year, I think this is a great exercise for anyone. We all need that sense of direction.
I agree. It's about taking control of your future, whether you're starting fresh or just trying to make the most of where you are.
So true. Well said. And hey, if you're feeling inspired and ready to take that next step, remember DYPSI. It's such a valuable resource, especially for veterans here in Washington. Who knows, maybe they'll even reveal the secrets of the Rule of Five. Maybe that's a discovery just for those who join the DYPSI program.
You're probably right. Well, folks, that about wraps up another deep dive. Thanks for joining us on this journey.
It's been a pleasure as always. Remember, your next mission is out there waiting for you. Keep diving deep, and we'll catch you on the next one.